I always swore in college in the bar that I would make a living out of philosophy, and I believe we are now, because we do call some of our courses the philosophy of, because we basically believe that people, it does come from their philosophy. What do you stand for? So what you were describing there a few minutes ago, Richard, was your philosophy. Those people gravitate towards you, and there will be some people who may not. And in fact, part of the selling process is to understand that some sales are worth losing, and there's some customers are not the right fit. It doesn't mean they're bad people. In fact, they might be your best referral partner. It is about those conversations, and if it's not right now, it might be right in the future.
Okay, Rachel and Ciaran, welcome to Rad-Ventures, the podcast that takes you on an exhilarating journey through the lives of entrepreneurs and business owners and couple. Welcome to the show. Before you introduce yourselves, I'm going to tell you how we know each other. So Rachel and I, well, I presume Ciaran's in the digital circus too, right?
Associate.
An associate.
Friend of Rachel.
So Rachel mostly rocks up in the digital circus that's obviously run by our friends Yellow Tuxedo. I promise they don't sponsor the show. They get so many mentions that people might think that they sponsor the show, but they don't. Though if they want to, perhaps they should give me a shout. So Rachel and I know each other through that. Ciaran, we've never met before, but we're already getting on like a house on fire.
That's exactly it.
Perhaps we should think of a different analogy for that one. Maybe I'll cut this, maybe I won't. And then you put...
I like the way this is starting.
Start as we mean to go on. So, and the two of you run Woodhazel Consulting, right?
That's
Yes,
right, yeah.
very much.
Okay. Then I shall allow you to introduce yourselves.
Well, good morning. Afternoon, evening, whatever you want to say. I'm Ciaran, this is Rachel. We're a husband and wife team, and we're very much about helping people to sell, market, promote themselves. Do it with confidence, and it's with our background that we've both had in sales and marketing. It's a bit like having your own sales and marketing manager. We're there to help you take your customers and your business from wherever it is now to where you want it to be.
Yeah, and I think what's core of how we work with our customers is that we appreciate that people come at selling from a different perspective. They have a different outlook, they have different experiences, they have different requirements. So from our point of view, we meet them where they're at. So what I mean by that is that we believe that everybody can sell. It's about finding the approach that works for you in the right time and where you want to get to. So it's about, as Ciaran says, confidence. It might be about your structure, your processes. It might be about your goal setting. It might be about having the right people there at the right time to make sure you're doing what you need to do and you're focusing where you need to be to get to where you want to get to. So that's where we step in and help people.
And we help them online or face to face. Obviously, if you want to come to Ireland, that's always, we're Dublin based. I think we're your first Irish guest as well, are we, Richard?
You are the first Irish guest. I was just about to say, I'd love to come to Ireland to come and see you.
We'd
Put
love
that
to
in the
see
diary.
Yeah.
And the weather is just superb. It's non-stop rain and it's beautiful. But we're making the most of it, and so we are delighted to work with people online, but we also work face to face. It's whatever works best for them. And as I say, some people prefer to work with me, some prefer to work with Rachel, but quite a lot prefer to work with both of us because they like both of our input. Yin and yang, we have different personalities, and it works quite well, actually, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
I love that, and I love that approach. It's like I love the fact that you've got kind of both of you to you can use both if you like, because all those perspectives are different, aren't they?
Yes.
And what I like about what Rachel just said is a lot of the time nowadays you spend you go on LinkedIn or you go on Instagram, you go on Facebook, and you see these coaches selling their services, and a lot of the coaches are all saying, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I get a cold shower, I built a 6-figure business in 6 weeks, and I can teach you to do the same. But not everyone is the same.
Exactly.
And we all have different approaches. So I love your approach in that your offering of your service.
Well, it's also because it's not about us telling you what to do, because no matter what, even if we knew you really well, it doesn't matter. You are different to us. It's about us being able to help you to be the best that you can be, and telling you what to do isn't the best thing. It is helping you to find the answers that work best for you, so that you can actually do it yourself. Because, to be honest, we're not doing our job right if people aren't actually out selling and promoting themselves in a better way, because that's ultimately what we want to do. So the best sales and marketing managers tend to be the ones who actually like their people to be better and actually enjoy improving them. And that was always Rachel's ethos.
Yeah,
as well.
you want to be in the background. You're all about making sure that your clients are front and centre, because for a lot of them, especially small business owners, they need to be front and centre of their business. So that's the whole premise of what we're trying to do, is get people comfortable and motivated to and very structured in how they get comfortable being front and centre, because you're the difference in a lot of times in your business. You know, there's a lot of businesses out there who are doing the same, but you are what makes a difference. And your relationship with your clients are different as well. So people buy from people, and it's that relationship that you're trying to tap into and make sure that you're maximising that and you're taking control of that. So that's what we're really trying to get people comfortable to do. And as I say, we recognise that we're all human beings, so we all have different outlooks and perspectives, and that's great, and that's what makes us different, and that's what makes that connection so powerful when you actually turn up as your best self, because you're bringing the best, because there's only one of you, so let's make the most of that person, and let's make the most of meeting the client who's the best of them as well. And when you get both of you working together in a win-win situation, do you know, that's the magic, isn't it? That's where those relationships are built, and that actually gets rid of this scariness around selling. This kind of, we kind of get really, it really frustrates me that it's got such a bad name. Everybody's go, oh, I hate selling.
It's now called the S word, isn't it?
Yeah, like people don't. So yeah, we even tell people just forget about it. Don't use that word. But actually, if it's done properly, it's because it's been, people, we've all seen the films, we've all seen the, how not to do it, and the scary person shouting at you, and we all remember how you were sold badly. But we're all about trying to teach people, or not even teach, but get people comfortable to sell how they want to. Because I think at the end of the day, that's what you're more likely to go out and keep doing. And then suddenly, we're doing a little bit to try and make the world a little bit better.
And it's enthusiasm is part of it as well. And if you can't be enthusiastic about helping people, well, what are you doing? What's your business about? Because that's the interesting thing. So many people that we speak to say, oh, I don't like selling. And we say, so what do you like? Oh, I love helping my customer. And then you go, well, what's selling then? and that's where we start. And then we move on. And as I say, some of our better customers also are people who are very comfortable selling, but they want another opinion, or they want to talk it through. And so that's where we kind of get involved more. It's more the consulting stage where we're actually, they're asking for advice, and we're trying different things. But for a lot of people, it's just wherever they're at, we meet them, as Rachel said, and we make the most of what they want to achieve,
Yeah, I love that, and it's funny you should talk about that. And when me and Rachel had our call, it was evident from. Matt, sorry, I'll go back a little step because I've missed one there. So basically, as part of the Digital Circus, we're involved in a program called Matchups. Matchups is where there's a random other member assigned to you for the month, and you have a chat with them. And it's a half an hour chat, or it's like start at half an hour.
Yeah.
And you kind of go into it, and you kind of expect, oh, hello, how are you? What's the weather doing today? And how long have you been in the Digital Circus? But the conversation I had with Rachel was amazing. And we gelled straight away as soon as I come on the screen and said hello. I was like, oh, okay, this is not the type of conversation I thought we were going to have. And I think the approach that you've got, and the way you talk about the people being the people selling to people, and the poor sales technique. When I started my business and I was kind of rebranding, about a year in to kind of fit more me. And everyone starts with well, what's your USP? And I was like, oh my God, well, all my clients are, they're a plethora of different industries. Some are businesses, some are sole directors, some are, just one person bands, as it were.
Yeah.
And not limited companies, solopreneurs, that kind of thing. And I was like, one's a hotel. And I was like, what? They're all over the place. I can't be like, I'm Richard and I sell my services to insert service, insert profession here, because there wasn't one single one. So eventually, after some chin scratching, and I used to have a hole in my beard, that's why I have to keep it shorter now, because where I scratch it there, I realised that my unique selling point was me. And my experiences over the years of how, I started in catering, and then I moved to admin, and then I moved to a horrible bit, and then I moved to what I'm doing now. And I love that approach. I love the way you go about it. And I love the fact that there's kind of, you've got the two of you, and you're like, oh, okay, well, actually, no, next week, I think you can talk to Ciaran, because he's got some ideas on it. I've been talking to him. So let's park Woodhazel for a second. We'll come back to that, because I do want to talk more about your kind of processes and the way you do things on that. But let's talk about how you got there. So if we start with Ciaran, did you always want to be a business owner and a consultant?
No. I studied economics and philosophy in university, and I did economics because you had to, because that's it was the sensible option. Philosophy because I loved it, and it was actually brilliant crack in the lectures, and it was a pleasure actually to go to study and different things, because I was interested in why people did things and what motivates them. And little did I know, I always swore in college in the bar that I would make a living out of philosophy, and I believe we are now, because we do call some of our courses the philosophy of, because we basically believe that people, it does come from their philosophy. What do you stand for? So what you were describing there a few minutes ago, Richard, was your philosophy. Those people gravitate towards you, and there will be some people who may not. And in fact, part of the selling process is to understand that some sales are worth losing, and there's some customers are not the right fit. It doesn't mean they're bad people. In fact, they might be your best referral partner. They might go, actually, Richard, I know someone who you'd be perfect for, but I don't think it's right for us. So in other words, always have those conversations like you had with Rachel, where when you have a matchup, because it is about those conversations, and if it's not right now, it might be right in the future. So my whole thing was always to find something that would actually get me to work with people and to be able to help people, but also to listen and hear what they had to say and to make a difference. And so that's kind of how I ended up where it took me. We went over to the UK in the late 80s, and so then it took us 17 odd years to get back to Ireland, and then to get settled into Ireland. We took the opportunity for me to do a little bit of consulting work, while Rachel did the sensible thing and did the 9-to-5 bit. And so our plan was always to try and do something. We just had a chance to be able to sketch it out. But sometimes you have to take those chances when they come your way, don't you?
Yeah, I think it sounds like you knew the route you were heading. It's just the route is never a straight line, is it? Like everyone thinks it is.
No, life gets in the way, doesn't it?
yeah, of course. There's crags, and there's mountain tops, and there's hills, and there's caves.
We would never have gone back if my parents hadn't have been unwell. That wouldn't have. After having you'd finally come to the conclusion that we were going to stay in England, and my mum wasn't well and my dad wasn't well, and so we got our daughter at that stage was coming to the end of primary school, so you have those discussions and you go, well, will we go for it? And we came back to Ireland at the height of the Celtic Tiger, which was interesting times as well, because it was a very different country to what we'd left. So it was like actually starting all over again, because it was very different. It took us quite a while to settle in.
Yeah. It's just, I suppose that's just life, isn't it? You go with the direction. You think you're going one way, and then life directs you slightly differently. But I think if you're long term, you keep on track because you have a long term vision of where you want to get to at some point. So I think, you think you always wanted at some stage to kind of get to this point of running your own business or doing something, as you say, around people, using your philosophy. Because he spent years talking about it, so it was kind of good to finally share all of that wider than just with me.
And we were boyfriends and girlfriends before we went to the UK as well, so it was but we got split. I went to Crawley and Rachel went to Romford, so those were interesting times as well.
Yeah, I just recalled that from listening to another podcast that you guys were on. And there was a funny story on how you met, wasn't there?
Yeah, we were at a friend of mine had her 21st, and we were down. It finished earlier. It was in the city centre, Dublin city centre. And when we were at that age, you kind of went to one of the nightclubs, local nightclubs afterwards, and we all kind of gravitated there. And I was trying to avoid a group of people. There was just a couple of people I just thought, I just can't be doing with them. So we went over and started chatting to this group. So the group that Ciaran was with, my friend kind of knew somebody in your group. And then, and he thought this was great. I'd kind of got to chat to him, but I was actually trying to avoid somebody else. So, and as they say, the rest, they say, is history.
That's it. So we'll come back to your story, Ciaran. Obviously, Rachel, did you? I know that you had a career in sales and marketing over the years. That's not something you wanted to do? It's not certainly something you didn't start in, is it?
No, I actually trained as a teacher. And I think I always wanted to be a teacher from whatever.
You wanted food hygiene first, didn't you?
And, I think when I was a child, I played schools all the time, and But then I think when I was a teenager, I was a bit of an entrepreneur in the sense I had to earn pocket money, so I was putting ads in local papers to kind of get jobs at weekends, whether it was cleaning or working in the shop, or I didn't care. I was kind of roll up the sleeves and get a job. So I liked that whole idea. And then when I went to college, I ended up doing economics and history, not because that was where I got my points got me to, rather than what I really wanted to do. I kind of did want to do human, dietitian or something like that. Moved to London. Started in sales. Didn't really like that. I think it was more the products and it was just the whole kind of world. I just didn't. And I think that's something that has resonated with me, is I had to believe in what I'm selling. I know, and I hear that a lot from my clients, and I buy that you kind of, if you don't believe in it, how can you actually kind of be passionate about what you're promoting, as much as you kind of can sell all the features and benefits, but you're not giving that real value there. So I gravitated into marketing, went back and did all my qualifications and that. So I kind of got into marketing and loved that, because it was kind of, for me, it was the centre of the business, because you had to understand the whole business. So it was a great way of getting exposure into how businesses work. And, so I had the privilege of working for a lot of really good companies where I got really great experience in financial services. And then we kind of, again, luckily, when we moved back to Ireland, I had a year of working in a stationery company, which again was amazing, because it was completely different. It was products as opposed to services, so it was kind of a different. And that was very much selling and marketing combined, kind of going off and trying to pitching for big business opportunities in supermarkets and stuff like that. So that was great fun, and it was a bit mad as well, because it was new. It was a business that had been recently taken over, and we're trying to kind of get new clients on board fast. So it was all go. So it was great. Unfortunately, the crash came, so that all folded. And then I was lucky enough, got back into kind of previous company that I'd worked with in the UK. We're opening a role in Dublin. So so I continued in my marketing for quite a while. So I had great exposure. So it seemed natural that I would use the marketing and the connection with the selling in our role now, because I kind of get where marketing has to work alongside selling, or selling has to work alongside marketing, and where they actually need to connect, and the importance of that is all about the client at the end of the day. So so that kind of works. So it made sense then when we kind of gravitated. Time felt right. Our daughter had grown up, and we kind of felt, look, we can take the risk, because I think there is always a risk set going out on your own, to you know, kind of give it a go and see if we could do something for ourselves using all the experience and expertise that we have. So I went back and did a bit more. You know, I like to go back and kind of do qualifications and stuff. So I went back and did my coaching qualifications and stuff, just to kind of give me that structure. Even though I think we were probably doing it naturally anyway. So that's kind of how we got to where we're at now, is kind of using all our years of corporate experience and then pulling out all the great things that we were good at, in the sense that we both were managing people. And I think in all our roles, that's where we actually loved doing what we were doing the most.
We actually went back to the when we decided what we were going to do as a business, we decided what was the job we loved most, and we both agreed. I love being a sales manager and a manager of people, you know, helping them to sell. And teams of 7 is probably the ideal number, because you can actually influence those. But there were other times where I had multiples of 7, you know, different groups and regional groups, and that was interesting. But that was more corporate. But my favourite one was when it was small sales teams where you could actually bring in the dynamics, and the key was to try and get people who would gel. But they, exactly as we were talking about earlier, it was actually a good thing if they weren't the same. Having different people and different strengths, and turning them into a team rather than just a group of individuals out trying to outdo each other. It's good if they can inspire each other and bring each other along in a competitive way. And so that's what a lot of small, medium-sized businesses want to be doing, is getting individuals to come together, not just as a group, but potentially to be a team. But the first thing they have to want to do is to want to be one. And Rachel was doing the same with marketing.
Yeah, no, I think one of the things I think you do kind of self-reflection when you're setting up your business as well. I've always been much more better at promoting other people than necessarily myself, and I probably enjoy doing that. And again, in the roles I had and the jobs I had, a lot of the time was fairly flat structured, and particularly when I was working in Ireland. So there wasn't necessarily lots of promotional opportunities, but what you could give people was a lot of exposure, and it was all about, again, as Ciaran was saying, understanding what motivates people and kind of trying to really tap into that, so that at least everybody is feeling they're getting enough enough benefit into what they're doing, so that it balances, because every role has positives and negatives. So what you want to do is make sure that there's enough of the positives and the growth and the potential there for a person to make them want to stay longer. And that's kind of what kind of always grabbed me when I was managing people, was to make sure, again, that you're tapping into what made the difference for that individual, because everybody's different. And even in a team, sometimes people kind of go, what you notice, companies kind of think, if you're not promoted to the next level, you're almost seen as actually you're failing. But for some people, they don't always want to get promoted to the next level. They're happy because maybe it balances where they're at in their lives at the moment. They've a young family, or they've things going on, and actually, it's not that they don't want to get there or that they're not capable. It's just where they're doing, where they're at the moment is fine, and you recognise that. So, and I think that's important when you're kind of working with people, that you have to see the whole person, and you have to see their world around them and what's influencing them, and therefore that comes back to what is the actual motivator. For some people, it is just I just want a simple job I can go in and do, pays the bills, and frees up enough time for me to be able to get, have the play dates, or have time with my parents, or actually play my sport, and that's fine. So as long as and everybody recognises that, I think that's really important. So for us, a team is a mix of that, because you cannot have everybody as the leader, or you can't have everybody biting at the chop to get your role. You need people at each level and the key is to make sure they're all happily motivated, to be stretched enough that they're not kind of going to get bored or they're not going to kind of switch off, but that they understand that their role is actually helping other people, and they are a valuable member of that team.
And another thing that influenced what we were looking to do as well is in our private life we both had interests in different things. So I got involved in bereavement support, and we both do tidy towns, and Rachel has always helped out in the community and things like that. And an awful lot of that sometimes can, if you're comfortable to talk about tricky subjects or to talk about things that are life or death or things like that, sometimes that's a good reason why people are maybe a little bit off, because they are going through something a little different. As I say, we both had huge experience with dementia in our lives with family members, and we've had experience with illness and things like that. So these are subjects that we actually are very comfortable to be with people to talk, but more important, not to tell them, but to hear what they've got to say and say, oh, okay, well, because that's going on in your life, that's a fair reason. So how can we actually make things easier for you, or how can we actually adapt for those years that you are going to be a little bit sidelined? Because as I say, sometimes people and businesses miss out on some absolute gems because they go, oh, he or she isn't doing this anymore, or what. They used to be so good. They still are. It's just finding what they can do and how you can maximise their performance at that particular time. So that's where our passion is, and that's why we like to meet people where they're at, because as I say, they can be high flyers or they can be people who at this moment in time they just want to do better, and that's what our job is, isn't it?
Yeah, love that. There's so much to unpack there too. Okay, so I'll start then. Back a little while back, Rachel mentioned risk of setting up your own business, and I always find this is quite funny, because when you are in business for yourselves, you have multiple clients, probably multiple revenue streams, and so if you lose a client, you still got, say if you've got 6 clients and one says, can't afford it anymore, or sorry, we've reached our level, that's it, I'm moving on, or whatever, then you still have 5 more clients. But if you've got a job, and then there's cuts at that job, or the company folds, etc., then you've lost your main one stream of income. So I mean, yeah, there is an inherent risk with going out there in setting yourself up in business, but at the same time, it all seems more secure via the risks than it does to just have a job. They do say, I suppose, sometimes, not all the time, they do say that salary is a drug to quash your ambitions.
Well. Well, yeah.
I can get that, because I think it's a case of you get comfortable doing what you're doing, and you even though you might be changing jobs, but you're still, when you're in when I was in the corporate world, I was moving around different jobs, but they were still sort of similar roles. I kind of knew the sort of the package you were getting in. You knew that you knew how it was going to work. You actually even knew if that job was going to fold, you probably had that established network to kind of maybe get another role quite quickly. Whereas when we were moving into a completely different, it was moving out of that comfort of, and there is that period where you're starting out, that you have to. There is a risk there. Is this? Do we believe passionately what we're doing? But is that going to be enough to kind of, as you say, get those 5 or 6 clients in place quickly enough? It's that sort of thing, and maintain it and grow it from there. So I think there's a mixture of change. So there's risk when any sort of change. You're right, whether it's so there's managing that, and then it was kind of Ciaran and myself working together. That was different.
We had never done that before. We've been together for years.
Yeah, so there was a lot. So we were shifting quite a lot. And I suppose we were at a lifestyle where our daughter had moved on, so our lives had changed as well. So there was a lot of change for us. and like, it was all good, but it was
the other thing
different.
you noticed was when you were in the business world, you didn't notice bills. As regards petrol or just general things because well, you just claim them back, like it was.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing. I think I did. I definitely underestimated the number of hats you wear when you're running your own business, and how much, because you're working, like I was working in kind of marketing roles, but that was marketing. Marketing tapping into a couple of others. Whereas when you're a business owner, you're across the whole business, and you're actually, certainly when you're starting up, you're doing every bit, because you almost and we always would say that's great. It's a great discipline to do, because you quite quickly work out, well, actually I don't want to do this bit, or this is not for me. I need the support for that, or but you almost have to do it to realize that, because I think it's important for you to understand that how your business needs to run and how it's going to work for you. So we're great believers in this whole period, and even in selling and marketing, you need to experiment a little bit. So rather than kind of getting, as you talked about, the USPs and stuff like that straight up, just go out there and explore, have conversations, try things out, see what works, what doesn't work, and then you can kind of start getting a bit more structured in this is landing well, this isn't working, I need to tweak this, and that helps you to refine the approach you're taking. And that's kind of when we talk about the risk, I think that's what it is. It's just that whole newness of it. It's very exciting, but I think for me, I think it's because I'm probably one of these people, I'm very practical. So I have to think of both sides. I always think.
Whereas I'm blue sky.
You're very blue sky, and he's the extreme of optimism as well. Yeah. Whereas so I have to bring back a bit of realism of kind of go. And
our daughter is a good mixture of the two of us, actually.
So that's where we work well together.
But the C word then comes into it, Richard, and the C word is choice, and the difference is, when you're in the corporate world, do you have as much choice? Because you are restricted, and you do have to say, learning to say no, or actually to do what you're told. I didn't mind working for companies or working for others, but it is very interesting to think, would I like to go back now and be told you will do this and you will do that? I don't know if I would, and it's so. The real thing is to have the choice and then to make good use of it, and that frames a lot of our work as well, because we actually say people, what we're really helping you to do is we're giving you ideas and we're giving you input, and now you're going to get this choice. You have to choose between what feels right for you. We can give you our opinion, or we can give you an angle, or we can ask a question. But ultimately, when it's yourself and it's your business, or it's your team, or it's just you, so that's actually what we're selling. We are selling choice. Whereas sometimes when you're in the corporate, when you're working for others, you do what you're told, don't you? And it's we do actually like being rebels and actually just in our own little way and just saying, do you know what, we'll do this because it feels right for us, and then the joy is actually making it happen, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. I love it's nice to be a little bit of a rebel, isn't it? To do things differently, to not go against the grain kind of thing. Okay, so something that stuck in my mind from the previous conversation we had before Risk was management systems. So as you both worked in corporate, I presume that at some point you've come across different management systems, leadership systems, etc. I certainly have over my years. And when you say about fitting into teams and things, do you use? Is there kind of a system that you're fond of, you're using when you're talking to teams and things? Is it like Belbin? Are you using that? Are you using like carrot and stick methods, all that kind of jazz? Does that kind of come into your consulting when you're talking to teams?
You want to go?
No, actually, we first of all, here's an interesting one. What's your view on a team?
What is a team?
What is a team?
Well, it's an amount of people that have been thrown together in in a work environment to then hopefully, according to the management, progress
Right.
in whatever that goal that they have is.
So what's the first discussion?
Who's doing what? I suppose it depends on.
Well, is it, or do you have to take it one step further back and say, do you want to be a team? It's a very interesting bit because sometimes you think, oh no, of course they'll want to be a team, and a lot of times they don't. In fact, they prefer their autonomy and they want to be a group that might have. We're getting into Brexit now or stuff like that, but you know what I mean. It's kind of it's do you want to be in the club, and that's a team, and so we start.
We do start from that basis.
We start from that basis, which comes from a chap called Clutterbuck. David Clutterbuck. Have you ever come across him?
I don't think I've come across him. I perhaps have, but the name's I forgot.
Yeah, well, he has a model called Peril, and so we. The initial part of that is about finding out just how you want to proceed and actually having that discussion. So you'll have had
what your purpose is.
What your purpose is, and you'll have had that discussion maybe with the stakeholder, and so a lot of the discussions and the meetings initially happen to be, what does the stakeholder want out of this? Are they going to be involved? How do they, how do they want to proceed? And then, once you start to work with the team, it makes sense to have individual discussions, which is why it's very handy for us to work together, because we can split that up a little bit and then bring it all together. And that first meeting is always very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's it. And it's funny, different companies will have different systems. So we are quite respectful of that as well. So we don't, because there are, as you know, there's lots of different approaches out there. But I think we always kind of start with the individuals and the people there, and just seeing, well, exactly what Ciaran said. Do they want to be a team? Do they need to be a team, or are they functioning quite well as a group? And they just accept that because the reality is, if a team, all you need is one part of that dynamic to change, and you start all over again for somebody to leave.
Because once someone leaves, it's no longer a team.
Because the whole kind of dynamic has changed, and that you almost have to. Because if somebody new coming in, they might have a different outlook or a different perspective, which might be a great thing. It might be that dynamic is what was missing from getting them to the next stage of where they want to get to. But to do that properly, you almost have to bring that person in and start again to kind of get everybody in the room again and kind of see how, are you all happy to work together, and what's the purpose, where are we all driving, what are you trying to do, where are the influences. So so each stage, but sometimes businesses are not ready for that, and they can function quite well just as groups of people. So it's a really it's an interesting topic that we could spend a full podcast on.
Sometimes someone will leave the team and they may decide not to replace them. They may actually say, you know what, for whatever reason we're going to make a cost saving, or we're going to do this. But that doesn't mean that it's still a team, because the new dynamic is now that person has left, they did this, they what they brought or what they didn't bring needs to be replaced or needs to be worked upon, and so we always come at it from a positive point of view. So we and there are others who will come at it from a negative perspective, where they'll say what is lacking, and
yeah, they talk about the lacking of trust, and a lot of times when you're brought in, it's because there's no trust among the team, and they start there. Whereas for us, we'll always start with, well, where are the positives? What's working well? What would everybody like the team to be? So you start with, and then okay, so what bits have we got already that we can work with, and what bits can we work on to kind of get there? So, and is everybody on board? So you almost bring people on the journey with knowing where they're getting to. And in that way, it's all positive, rather than giving that opportunity to have he said, she said, or that used to work, or particularly if you have two amalgamation of a company where you're bringing two groups together, and you're trying to form one team, and there's often a mistrust going on there. So what you're trying to do then is to sort of say, okay, both of you probably have aspirations of what worked really well before, and you'd often find that those teams, because they've been gone through change and uncomfortableness, they've probably bonded themselves against the other group. So you're kind of having to start from scratch. Okay, you're coming together with great things. Okay, what we ideally want, and then what can each of you bring to get us there. So it's all about positive and moving forward.
And you actually asked a great question, Richard, because it's so relevant at the moment with AI. This is a new member of every team, and it's the big buzzword now. And we're old enough to remember what it was like when mobile phones started to become, when the internet started. Do you know, all these things, and people, do you know, that's going to make such a difference. And year 2K, like, we're going to press the button and everything's going to happen. That's all about AI now. Look, they're taking my job. They're going to do this and so. How is that dynamic going to ruin the team? You know, they're coming in and they're automating. The question is, with all the work that they're going to be doing, or all the stuff that they're doing, what are you going to do with your free time?
What can you do better?
What can you do better? What makes you more positive about what's going to happen? So if AI is going to come in and do certain aspects of the role, that's brilliant, because that's helping you to be better. But if it is, what are you going to bring that is going to make you even better than what you already are? So in other words, it's freeing up your time to be better, to do the stuff you love to do and you want to do. So what is that? And that's the questions we like to start with. They're positives, but as I say, for some reason people want to frame it in negatives and start saying, you know, they're you know, you talked about coaching. AI is going to take over coaching. No, it's not. It'll take over aspects of it, and it might do some of the more mundane aspects, but it is enabling you then to be able to ask the really good questions that revolve around you being in the room, hearing, smelling, tasting, creative, hearing the atmosphere. You know, you probably experienced that in the catering trade all those years ago as well. You know, the different things when they brought in innovations and things like that. They innovated, but they made it even better for the human.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we got fancy ovens, big rationales they're called, and you could stick a probe in some meat, and you could program the computer on the side of it, and you could program the oven to cook it to the perfect medium rare for this big beef joint. Wow. But all it meant was that, you know, instead of you opening the oven every couple of hours or every 20 minutes or whatever, you could check the temperature, or you could see how it was looking. You just had to wait until the buzzer go off. So then you went off and you peeled the potatoes instead, or you did something else. So it saved you time.
That's it, and it's finding the ways to actually embrace that and go with it and make it happen, and actually it gives you more choice again, and it brings it makes things easier as well for smaller to medium-sized businesses to be effective and to actually be able to no, we won't even say compete, just be out in the market and differentiate themselves. You know, that people want to do business with the people who they know and they trust, but how do you get that? You get it through contact. If you have all these great systems in and you decide, well, I'm not going to contact people, or the service you give is terrible. You know, it's what you do with the extra time, and it's what you do. So that's where we start with regard to systems. We love them, and we say, right, what have you got? What benefits does that bring you? What are you going to do with it?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think with systems, and if you're using any sort of automation and stuff like that, as long as it's used alongside, it's freeing you up to do the front end stuff, and taking away. So when we kind of talk about putting process and stuff in place. You do that to simplify the stuff in the background that's not going to impact the personalisation. It should free you up for that personalised element, which in selling is so crucial, we believe, because it's that connection with with people. And I don't even mean just face to face. I mean even in your marketing and stuff like that. There is a point where you need to start coming away from just sending everybody an automated note. You can be clever and use your systems to personalise that, or to pull it out, have the time to pull out. Actually, this is nearly at the line where we're going to close a sale here. The last thing you want to do is just send them a bog standard, cold, automated, marketing message, when actually you've just had a call with them and you know that this is where they're at. So you want to keep that very personalised. So if you have the other stuff automated, that frees you up to do that. So that's where we strongly believe that both have to work alongside each other. You just have to be very clever and smart about how you're using it. It's not to be used at the expense of you avoiding talking to people or communicating with people.
It's to enhance it.
And it's to use it at the right time. So that's what sometimes when we do feel people become upset, I have to have my systems in place and it's all automated. And you're kind of going, yeah, but when do you actually talk to somebody, or when do you actually personalise that?
When do you hear?
Oh, no, the system doesn't allow me. And you're kind of going, okay, so we need to look at that. There are steps at different stages where you kind of, is it best used to have that automated, or is that a point where actually you need to have it so that you can pull that client out to kind of go, okay, this is the point where I actually want to kind of keep them warm and keep them personalised, because they're really important to me, and the last thing you want to do is make them feel as if they're just another bog standard, prospect.
Yeah, one of the clients I work with we have templates for letters, etc.
Yeah.
And as suggested by the regulating body, we have to send a letter to say we're closing or archiving a file, and what will happen with the file, how long we keep it for, when it's destroyed, or considered for destruction, etc. And yesterday I was doing one of these letters, but I've already sent one to this person. Their matter was coming to a close, and then it all kicked off again, and then we went again, and now it's come to a close again. And they were a really good client of this client. And so, I loaded the template in and I looked at it and I was like, I can't send them the bog standard letter again.
Well done.
Firstly, they've already seen it once. And secondly, if I just send that, just say, here's your bog standard letter, but thanks for your custom, they're going to be like, oh. Yeah. So no, it was all, I left in the bit that needed to be, the compliance bit. And then I wrote them a personalised email. So I think you are right in what you're saying there, in that you can't be on the edge of a sale and just say as per our conversation, thanks for your call or whatever, can you?
No. We had a perfect example in our own life there, whereby we logged a call with Irish Water actually, and where we had an issue with the water and it was logged and it went through, but hey presto, actually got a phone call from one of the engineers, as did quite a few of our neighbours. He was actually the guy who was the engineer, and he explained what happened. They weren't easy calls for him to make, but it certainly went up in our estimation, because you think, wow, okay.
I think the other thing is, I'm not suggesting that you break your automated system. I think people, like, I know definitely you take at the bank or something like that, you get all your automated, but when you have the personalised call or personalised email, people then know that you've actually just pulled them up, they've been recognised.
They've taken note.
But they don't, but I wouldn't be offended then if I still got the automated, because I kind of go, well, actually that's just their system, I know, but they've actually noted me at the right time. They talk to me at the right time and in the way they need to speak to me. So I think it's that sort of thing. I think some people kind of sometimes think, oh, well, that's going to break everything. You're going, no. This is your opportunity, exactly what you've done, which is you've personalised it, and you can even say, look, sometimes you can even sort of say you will still get another standard letter. You can kind of cover it so that people, because most people know that we all have automated systems in place now. It's just knowing. It's just that's when you know a good company has a good system in place, where they know when to communicate somebody at the right time in the right way. and they feel like you're not just a number. I think that's what you want to.
And you're being listened to.
I think, and that comes with experience, doesn't it? And I think that's one of the things you guys, as well as Choice, is offering is experience. You've experienced the different roles over the times, the different teams, the changes over time, and then you can apply that, which for me it makes it sounds great. And I can think of like 3 companies right off the top of my head that I could do with your services.
Oh, great! Well,
conversation, Richard, afterwards.
It's like, well, two of them are previous employers, but one of them did wrap up, so unfortunately we can't do that one. But I do know another one. So I'm going to bear that in mind. I might approach them on your behalf. Right? Okay. I think we should. I mean, we could talk forever, and you don't open a philosophy hole on me, because we will deep dive down.
No, that's it. That's what we're saying.
We'll keep it short.
We'll stick to a time.
It's like we would be splunking down there. But okay, I think now is the perfect time to get the questions done, and then we will talk about what you want to do in the future. Then we'll do a ready, steady, bring the show to a gentle close. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so what we'll do then for the questions is I'll ask the question, we'll do Rachel first, we'll do Ciaran second, then hopefully if it's a good answer, we'll deep dive into which one or other, and then we'll move on to the question. Sound like a plan? Okay, go team. Okay, so what's your favourite age been so far, Rachel?
Well, yeah, I'm going to say I've enjoyed every age. I suppose when I was 10, I always remember when I was 10, I just remember thinking it was the most magical age for me. I think it was double figures. I lived in the countryside in this magical house, we had an old rectory house. It was lovely. It was one of those years where I just thought everything was brilliant. And then another time was when I was 30, everything came together. And I felt as if I had achieved everything I wanted to achieve. And 50 was another one. So I don't know if it's the zeros. There's certain milestones where I think, and I'm going to say I think I'm now at the stage where, I'm lucky to be doing what I'm doing and kind of every year brings there's challenges, but it's good. Like for me, it's good to be alive. So yeah, but I think 10. If you said what was my favorite, it's the one it's one I always remember when I was 10. I don't know why, but I just remember 10 going, wow, this is a great year.
And I was actually the multiple of 10. I was 20 because I went to America for the first time, and it was just mad. I loved it. It flew into New York, and then we went on and I worked the summer in Atlantic City, and it was just, I'd never seen anything like it. Like the casinos and the sound. I couldn't get over the sheer sound. That was all. They were all dollars. You could hear it and I was thinking, and it was by the sea, Atlantic City, the boardwalk, and in summertime it was beautiful. My mother was still alive, and Perry Como was a very well-known entertainer, and he was the cabaret in the casino right beside us. And I rang my mother to say Perry Como's in cabaret, and she was going, "Oh my God, Ciaran, this." So that was it. But if you ask me my favourite time, it is now as well, because I do truly believe you are as good as what you're doing now and what you're going to do, because that's what life's about, isn't it? Making the most of it.
That's it. I love both of those. Okay, so what's your favourite quote? This could be a movie quote, a meme quote, a motivational quote, or any other quote. Let's do Rachel first.
Well, I probably said it earlier, and I think it's kind of at the heart of what we're all about, which is something I can never remember fully. It's the Oscar Wilde quote about "Be yourself because everyone else is taken." I kind of think that's, it's a really simple one. And I mean, I've to interpret that as be your best self. Obviously, I'm not saying you can just be a brat. I mean, but I kind of think, if we were more comfortable in our own skin, and it's something I've had to work at, because I think we're all pretty amazing if we can believe in it in ourselves. So I think that's a really, important thing for me to kind of help myself day to day, but also to bring across with my client work as well.
Love that.
And mine was from a very famous Irish comedian called Dave Allen, and his catchphrase was "May your God go with you," and I just loved that because it was such a confident thing. Like, he was an atheist, by the way. That was his, but it was whatever you believe, bring that with you, and just follow that. And so I've always loved that one, because actually, no matter whatever it is, that'll hold you in good stead. You're not on your own, and then you meet lovely people. But as long as you've got whatever you believe or don't believe in, you have to have confidence and faith in what you have, or none at all. It's whatever it is. So may your God go with you. That's what I live by.
I love both of those. Okay, one of you could pick this if you wanted to. Google Suite or Microsoft 365?
We use Google Suite. I think that's, we've that kind of part of our business. It's kind of, we find it very easy to use, and it does what we need it to do for our business. So yeah.
What's the difference? Why do you prefer Microsoft or Google?
I prefer Microsoft, but that's kind of what I had when I was growing up. In the 90s, when we had one computer in the classroom, and you had like a half an hour a week on it. It was like Windows 95 or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it was Word and it was Outlook, and then when I transitioned from catering to corporate, obviously the corporate team used Microsoft, and we had Outlook, and so I was in inbound sales. And so it was like, I always used Outlook. And then when I went self-employed, I tried Google. And I just didn't like the layout of it. I just couldn't work out what I was doing. And so I was like, I'll just go to Microsoft. And a lot of my clients use Microsoft. So I need to be able to integrate with them. One of the disadvantages of selling admin services is that, you need to fit in with what the client already has.
Yes.
So obviously I use both, but I do kind of head more towards liking Microsoft. Though Google does have Google Sheets, I think is better than Excel.
Yeah. So we do use both. Like, to be honest, you're right. In the corporate world, I would have used Microsoft. It's just we've kind of, with our
Google's
business.
all I know. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing with it is obviously Microsoft, you have to pay for your subscription. And because they've introduced Copilot, they're putting that up. Whereas Google's free. Cool. Great answer there. So question number 4, we'll do separate ones again. We'll start with Rachel. What app can you not live without?
I do like my WhatsApp, because I can communicate with everybody cheaply and quickly, and everybody seems to. I know most people are still on it. I won't say everybody, but most people are on it.
And actually, I'm ditto as well. The other reason I like WhatsApp as well is because of the groups. It is good crack when you're watching a sports match, and so the rugby's on, and everyone's in the WhatsApp, and they go, "Oh, I can't believe he did that, or she did that, or what's happened." So it's just a nice way of interacting. So it's a nice simple little one, and do you know what? It keeps you all together, doesn't it? Yeah. And so that's how we've managed to stay in contact with friends we have in other parts of the world, be it New York, London, whatever. They're in a WhatsApp group, and we're all watching this one game like we did when we were all mates back.
I think it's the one. It's an app that everybody knows.
Yeah.
So it's it's across all generations, and it's kind of. I know everybody has their variation, but that's one that most people will. If you want to get a group together, it's the easiest one to use.
Yeah, I like it. Cool. Question number 5 then. Rachel first. How many unread emails do you have on your phone right now?
Oh, I'm not going to put it on. I would say in my on my Gmail, none, because I've been in there this morning. I haven't been into my other Hotmail, and that normally has a load of spam in there. So there'll probably be a few in there just because I haven't got to it this morning, and it's not one I kind of go in all the time on. So,
yeah, and although I'm Blue Sky and things like that, I do actually like to clear it. So,
yeah, you're very efficient.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily go sometimes, but I do actually like to clean it out. So it would be unusual for me not to have it clear every day.
Great stuff. 2 gold stars there. Cool. Questions done then. We got through those really quick. That's pretty good considering we had 2 answers too. Okay, so just before we wrap up then, so this can go to both of you, both fill in. We won't do you separate. But what do you want to do if and when you grow up? Of course, growing up not completely necessary.
I think what part of what we set up the business for is that we could continue to do it, right? For as long as we can. Like we knew when we kind of get to the stage of the corporate, we might get to a point where we want to get out of it quicker. Like as long as we're enjoying this, we want to continue doing it. So that's for us is probably.
And that's not the story. That's not the normal stock answer. We actually do want to do from the point of view of if when you talked about people having experience or where you're coaching or where you're mentoring, like you're doing, Richard. It is nuts not to keep doing it. I'm going to retire from helping people, or I'm going. So we would always want to be doing something where we're actually using the talents. And the other thing, you do get better. Getting knowledge and getting experience, it's a good thing. So the culture needs to change as well, whereby people actually are comfortable saying, I actually want to continue to help people and to be better, because that the culture should be, I'm as good as what I'm doing now or my next order, and that's our big thing now. It's about making the most of all of what you've done, but to bring it to others and to continue to do so. So that's really what we want to do. We want to be making a difference all the time, but we can adapt, can't we? And
yeah, I think the reality is we're all living longer. So touch wood, we will. So therefore, you want to make you've an opportunity to do more with your life. You're no longer kind of getting to the age of 60 or 65, and and you're into getting ready for the coffin. You're kind of you still have another potentially 20, 30 years to kind of do something fundamental with your life. And I think for us, that's really important to see that. To constantly see, okay, what can we do next, or what where can we build from here? Because I just think that's we're very privileged in the eras that we are now living, where we are living longer and healthier, please God, to actually do more. And I think also because of experience that you have, if you can kind of support people coming up through life in that way,
they'll be there for you.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think you do. Generations need to support each other, because I think each generation has different things to support each other with. I
don't buy this rubbish where people say, what generation are we? Because you literally, you're going to spend all your time to work. Oh, am I Generation X, or am I Generation Z, or am I what's the latest generation now?
Oh, I can't remember.
All I know is they're bloody interesting, and they've loads of stuff going on, so therefore they'll always need to know what it was like when there wasn't these things, or what was it like without TikTok. Well, do you know what, we talked to each other, and we listened, and we heard what people had to say. Do conversations like this, we need to have more of them, and people need to learn how to listen. It's an amazing thing. The mobile phone and the technology has got better, and yet quite a few people are scared to use it. They don't want to get on a phone. They'd rather hide behind a mic.
Yeah, so I think that's where the skills, like I think our generation are really good at communicating, whereas we certainly wouldn't be as savvy as a 3-year-old these days on the computers. They just seem to be born able to do the magic that they can do. So therefore I think that's the sort of skills that both can help each other with, and that's where we kind of feel we can. Again, it comes back to this thing of making the best of who you are, and maximising that, and then in a team environment, play to those strengths and support other people where you can. So therefore, you have if we work together, we're much better together than working individually.
Yeah. So you get the old sportsman or sportswoman saying, "Oh, I'm as good as my next match," and then we take it one match at a time. Well, we're actually taking that to the next level, which is to say it is the next, but we are excited that we're going to be even better in that, and because we've learnt and we have an awful lot more to give. So that's really what we want to do. So it's about adding to the challenge each time, and actually that's when humans are at their best. It is about being. You don't want to get into overwhelm, because you don't want to be putting yourself into situations where it's going to be too much. But if you're just at the edge of your talent and above and stretching, then why give up? As long as you're realistic and say, look, I want to do this. This is what my motivation is.
And this is where I can add value.
Yeah.
I think it's about that.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, I could speak to you both for absolute hours, but I am conscious of you guys having a meeting, and also at the same time, the longer this goes on, the more I have to edit it. So,
well, I was going to say,
sorry, Richard.
Do you not get AI to do that now for you with all your admin systems?
He still has to listen to it. He still has to decide where to cut it.
I mean, yeah, AI can do it to a certain extent, and the software that we're using is very good. It can put out it can put out the pauses, it can put out the filler words, but when sometimes if you don't pronounce something particularly well, or I tend to finish a sentence as quietly, I think sometimes, or higher pitch. I think it's a northern thing, but if you do that, then it will cut my sentence off.
Oh right.
Or if you laugh, if you laugh at something, then it will cut that out because it thinks it's filler words or pauses. And obviously it gets better as time goes on. But when I first started doing this, all the way back in August, what I used to do was I'd do an auto edit. So I'd use all the AI features, auto edit it, export it, put it on YouTube under like a private banner, and then I'd make my partner watch it and get her feedback. But she would say like, "Oh, it cut you off here," or "You both laughed there," and then it's cut out something. If you've overspoken, then it's cut that completely out, and then it just would jump back into something. She'd be like, "That doesn't make sense."
Is she part of the business now, or could you ever see yourselves working together? Or
she's not presently part of the business. She has occasion. I say that she is a soundboard for me.
Oh, that's good.
It's like she'll walk through the door. I'm like, "Oh, thank God you're here. I've got this, and this. And what do you think I should do about this?" And the other thing.
you need that second opinion.
And how are you when she criticizes, when she says something that you thought, "Oh no, I thought this was brilliant"? Or
we used to work together when we were both in catering.
Right.
So we both worked at the same business for was that 2 or 3 years?
Right.
And then we worked together in another business for nearly 3. And then it was only when we came back and had our daughter that we stopped working together. So we had worked together for quite a few years. I think she would love to come on board with the Radmin brand, and it's just a case of when and how. I mean, she works full time now, but she works 7 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. So there's a couple of hours in the afternoon where she could help, but then it's getting her on board, it's getting insurance and working out payment, etc. Because if she comes on as an employee, then I'm going to have to pay her PAYE. If she comes in as a contractor that's insured, we're paying for insurance for her.
Of course, yes.
Or if I let her into the business and she's a co-owner, then she then has to be worry about the self-assessments and meetings, etc. and stuff like that. So it's on the future plans.
That's why it's interesting times, isn't it? When you're actually having to look at it from that angle and seeing, and it's the choice you have. It's a nice choice to have, isn't it? Where you can actually look at it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the Radmin Assist brand we're always looking to expand it. We started with the admin company. Now we're working on the podcast. There's a couple of other bits going on. And I'm always looking for other avenues to expand into those money flows and income streams, so that when it comes to down the line, we can do what we want to do and help people and not worry about money.
Yeah.
Good.
So at some point, yes, she will be involved, but at the moment, she's more of a soundboard and a confidant.
Good.
Perfect.
Well, build it up nicely and good luck with it all. It sounds very exciting because the podcast we've. Smooth as hell, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's great to. At first, it started as it was like it was to basically make content for social media. So I could take the magic clips, I could share my experiences while talking with guests and their experiences, and then I could showcase us both.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh well, it could be a stream of income. Joe Rogan's got loads of money from his podcast. Not that I listen to it, but he's a great example. I think everyone knows that he's got a big podcast.
Yeah.
The other one's Stephen Bartlett, but he's obviously in trouble at the minute, so we won't mention him.
Oh, right.
But then you realize, you think to yourself, well, actually, I'm having these great conversations with people. Do I need to pressure myself into monetization? When I've got my day job, as it were.
Yeah.
And then this is just a side project that I can build upon.
Well, that's what you do. Build it up nicely, Richard, and just take it at your own pace. It's got a lovely vibe to it and a great atmosphere, and we've really enjoyed being on it. So thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, both of you. As I said, I could speak to you for ages, but we will wrap up. So if you could tell everyone where they can find you, and then we'll do the old outy-outness.
Brilliant. Thanks, Richard. We can be found on our website, which is woodhazel.ie, or we're both on LinkedIn as well. We'd love to connect with people and just have a conversation.
Yeah, Rachel with an R, Ciaran with a C, and it is about just connecting. And if you come onto the LinkedIn, just send a message. We'll have a chat. And all our first conversations are always listening to hear what you're looking to do and how you're trying to. That's what we were doing there at the end, just to see where you're at, and then to see if we can help. But initially, it's always about hearing where people are at and what help they think we can give. But it costs nothing to have the chat, does it?
That's it. You never know what could come from those connections.
Exactly.
Yes.
Perfect. I will pop those in the show notes. But once again, thanks for coming on. And to our listeners and or watchers, if you're still here, thank you for watching and joining us. Mentioning monetization, the podcast is now available. You can join us as a Patreon Rad supporter to help with the show costs and to keep us going. So do check that out. That will also be in the show notes. But thanks for joining us so far. We'll see you next week with another guest. Peace out.
Cheers, Richard.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Rad-Ventures. Don't forget to subscribe via your favourite platform. Always happy to chat, so hit me up in the DMs, and I'll see you on the next Rad-Venture.